blazing torch. Verse 6, I have posted watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem. They will never be silent day or night. You who call on the Lord, or literally you who put the Lord in remembrance. In other words, you who remind the Lord of his promises. Give yourselves no rest, and give him no rest, till he establishes Jerusalem and makes her the praise of the earth. What a word. Don't give yourselves any rest, watchmen on the walls, and don't give God any rest until he establishes Jerusalem as the praise of all the earth, until the Jewish people in Jerusalem say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Now let's go back to Romans 11 and see what Paul actually says here. Do you know, as simple as these verses are in Romans 11, the light did not fully go on in me about the significance of these verses until 1984. What I was amazed to see was what God opened up to me through the scriptures. I don't mean some secret revelation. I just mean, there it is. It's so obvious. I've met Jewish believers in leadership and ministry, and I would talk to them, and they said, yeah, God gave me the very same insight from the very same verses. I didn't see it, and the light went on, and there it is. I remember one guy called, he said, Mike, this may sound radical, but I got put out of the church group I was with for teaching this, but I can't go back from it. It's what the Word says. And he laid it out. I said, yeah, that's what we believe. Simple enough. And he got put out of a group he was working with for teaching it. Verse 11, again I ask, Romans 11:11, did they stumble so as to fall beyond recovery? Who? The Israelites, the Jewish people. After he says in Romans 9 that there is an Israel within Israel, there is the believing remnant within the nation as a whole, he then talks about the nation as a whole for the rest of the chapters. Every time he mentions Israel or the Israelites, he's talking about the nation as a whole. The nation that sinned, the nation that missed the Messiah, the nation that has been cut off from the fullness of the promises, the nation, the people that God will restore. Again, I ask, did they stumble so as to fall beyond recovery? Not at all. Rather, because of their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles. Why? To make Israel envious. It is one of the greatest tragedies of church history that instead of the church making Israel envious, it has in many ways driven the Jewish people away from the gospel. The exact opposite of God's heart and God's intent. You ever gone into a restaurant to order something and you can't decide between two different dishes? So you order one and your spouse orders the other, and the moment those things are served, what are you thinking? Oh, I wish I got that. I've been on a plane and they hand out newspapers, and I'll catch up with the news a little bit, read a few headlines, a couple pages of sports maybe, and I'm done. I said to the person next to me, would you like a newspaper? Oh, yeah, sure. The moment they start reading, I'm craning my neck. Why? Remember that story? How did I miss that? Oh, that's interesting. See, when I had it in my hands, it was like, I'm done. I don't need this. I got other things to do. The moment someone else has it. How many of you, when you were teenagers, had that with relationships? You know, you broke up with this person because you didn't get along. You weren't interested in them. You had an attitude. You know, you used to really like them, and then when they started liking you, you got an attitude. And then your best friend starts going out with them, and it's heartbreak city for you. You know, a week ago, you could care less about him. You were happy to break up. And now, I can't believe he got her. I can't believe she got him. I can't believe it. You have it with kids with toys. Remember, as our girls were growing up, one of them would go play with a toy that was in the other one's room. She'd start playing with it, and the other one would start having a fit about it. And I'd go in, well, honey, were you actually going to play with that toy now? You weren't playing with it, were you? He said, well, I was just thinking before she came in that I would probably like to play with it very soon. I was thinking that I would want to. The thought didn't cross your mind until she took that thing out. And once she had it, you wanted it. That is just human nature. Look, for years I've ordered books. And in the early years, I used to have this deception that I lived with, that when I got the next book, I'd be satisfied. You know, the Bible says, he who loves silver is not satisfied with silver. He who loves gold is not satisfied with gold. And I used to have this deception when I had, just 2 little bookcases. If I just got the 2-volume set edited by Pritchard, the Ancient Near Eastern Texts and Pictures. If I just got J.A. Alexander's 1846 commentary on Isaiah that was just reprinted. I remember thinking these about specific. If I just get those, I'll be happy. And I'd get a shipment of books in. So many books just piled up everywhere. I couldn't even deal with them, And I'd have ordered from 3 different publishers. And, if you want to, you come by my office, and some of the folks that had done some work in our office, we just took over an office for me that had, floor-to-ceiling bookcases through most of this big office. And I put out some of my books, and everything else is just piled. You have to wade over books to get anywhere. I mean, you could line probably from, floor to ceiling of half this sanctuary wall there. You need ladders upon ladders to get to them, and still I'd have books to put out. And you know what would happen? I get orders from 3 different publishers. I couldn't wait to get this book, and for research and writing that I do need it. It's justifiable. Hey, look, if you don't believe me, get this book here, Israel's Divine Healer. It's got 85,000 words just in the endnotes, okay? I'm serious in my scholarship. So there. But you know what inevitably happened? The one book that I really wanted would be the one that didn't come in that shipment. And the funny thing is, it was always the book that didn't make it that was the book that I wanted. Always. Same with computer equipment. It's always that one thing. I don't want to get off on another tangent with that, but So God's heart for Israel was when the Gentiles would be enjoying Israel's Messiah, Israel's God, the presence and glory of God, the promises of His blessing and presence, the forgiveness of sin. When Israel was looking on, we sowed, you're reaping the harvest. We put in all the work, you're getting the benefits. We as a people have been prepared all these centuries for the Messiah. We don't have him, you do. That should make Israel envious. And one of the greatest ways to win Jewish people to the Lord is to make them envious of the walk that you have with God. To live in such a way, and for your churches to be so filled with the presence and glory of God that Jewish people want what you have. One prosperity teacher once made it was a funny comment. He meant it to be serious. But he claimed that making Israel envious, in order to do that, then Gentiles would have to out-earn Jews. And then they'd be envious. Oh, so you're gonna get saved because I got a nicer car than you got. Give me a break, friend. And plus, good luck. Salvation has come to the Gentiles to make Israel envious. And they will become envious. And Jewish people have come to the Lord for those reasons. And they will come in droves by God's grace at the end. And an ever-increasing number up until that point. But if their transgression means riches for the world, and their loss means riches for the Gentiles, how much greater riches will their fullness bring? Wait a second. You know what this is like? Make it a sports analogy. A guy's never really played baseball before, but he seems to have great athletic ability. And he gets up behind the plate, and they tell him, all right, you swing when the ball comes. And he swings, and he hits the ball. It goes flying out of the stadium. You know, beyond the parking lots, further than anyone's ever hit it. And they said, I can't believe you're a power. He goes, power? I was actually trying to do one of those things that you call a bunt. I didn't even use any power. I didn't even swing. It's like, buddy, if that's what you do with a miss, with a half swing, what's going to happen when you put your power into it? Or to use another example, maybe you hear thundering footsteps. All of a sudden, the door swings open off the hinges, and a guy comes walking through the door. So big, his head smashes through the overhang of the door. Smashes right through. We say, who are you? He said, I'm little Timmy. Anybody seen my brother Big Bob? You're little Timmy. What in the world does Big Bob look like? I'm just trying to use simple earthly illustrations to get a point across. If Israel's transgression, consider this, Israel's national rejection of the Messiah and of the apostolic preaching, the preaching of the Jewish witnesses to the Messiah, the national rejection of that message has brought the salvation of hundreds of millions of people. If it has brought people being delivered from every type of bondage and brought from darkness to light and the healing of every imaginable sickness and disease around the world in the name of Jesus, if that has happened because of Israel's failure and sin, what is going to happen when Israel gets it right? Now let's keep reading. There's more. Look at this. If their transgression means riches for the world and their loss means riches for the Gentiles, how much greater riches will their fullness bring? What an incredible picture. You talk about world redemption, you talk about the glory of God filling the earth as the waters cover the seas. That's what Israel's fullness is going to bring. I am talking to you Gentiles. He didn't say spiritual Jews, Israelites. No, Gentiles. That's not a dirty word. People of the nations. I'm talking to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle to the Gentiles. I make much of my ministry in the hope that I may somehow arouse my own people to envy and save some of them. My goal right now is to arouse my people to envy through your lives, through the lives of you Gentiles, so I can save some of them, so I can see some of them come to the Lord until that fullness comes. For if their rejection is the reconciliation of the world, if Israel's rejection of the Messiah and God's rejection of Israel from its favored status, if their rejection is the reconciliation of the world, people from every background, atheists, God-haters, Buddhists, Muslims, animists, homosexuals, lesbians, drug addicts, alcoholics, religious hypocrites, proud, ungodly scoffers, now reconciled to God. People from every nation and tribe and kindred and tongue, loving the God of Israel through the Messiah of Israel. If Israel's rejection means that, means you folks sitting here today from around the world, if their rejection is the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead? You know what that means? Go back to what Jesus said in Matthew 23. You will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. When the Jewish people turn and embrace the Messiah, no matter what end time scheme you have, no matter where you stand on tribulation issues and so on, I'm talking about the physical return of Jesus to the earth, to establish his kingdom and to destroy the wicked out of the earth. When the Jewish people welcome him back nationally, whether it means every Israelite will be saved, every Jew will be saved, or whether it means a mass turning. Certainly at the least it means a mass national turning. When his people welcome him back, he will return in the clouds and establish his kingdom and it will mean life